Hey, welcome to another episode of the Prize Podcast where we talk about how sports and the Christian worldview intersect one another. I am Kyle Hunsinger. It's good to have you on the show again, once again, for the Prize Podcast. Want to talk about some really cool stuff today about retirement. Retirement, okay? You would think, what in the world does retirement have to do with sports and the Christian worldview intersecting one another? Well, it has a lot to do with it. One of them being that we have two big stories that just came out. One came out today as I'm recording. Nick Foles, who was the Super Bowl winning quarterback that won for the New England Patriots. If you remember, Carson Wentz had a really great season that one season. I think it was in 2017. Basically got the Eagles through everything. Nick Foles gets the job done and was the backup the whole entire time. He wins the Super Bowl for the Philadelphia Eagles, an incredible moment of bravery, strength, and just all the good things that you would want. And like what embodies the Philadelphia spirit more than the backup, the underdog coming up. It's like Rocky, in the Rocky movies where Rocky's the underdog. He's small, he's not the biggest, he's not the strongest, but yet he's the one that's going to take on Apollo Creed. He's the one that's going to take on Mr. T, I forget what his name was in the movies. Um, but then you got Ivan Drago, and he brings about unity between Russia and the United States. Incredible stuff. Um, but just thinking through all of that, and just thinking about the underdog story of the Philadelphia Fighter, and them making I think they even made a statue of Nick Foles because they won the Super Bowl. So it's pretty incredible, the story. But he officially retires at the age of what? 35. That's crazy. I'm 33. I ain't retiring anytime soon. But man, the body has taken its toll, I'm sure, on him being a quarterback. I mean, crazy stuff there. Um, Another person that is not going to retire is Charles Barkley. So if you remember a couple months ago, or actually, 2 months ago now, because I reported in June. Well, I didn't personally get the report. I commented on an article that got the report through Yahoo Sports and with ESPN. They reported that Charles Barkley was retiring, and Charles Barkley even said on air, "Is like, hey, I'm going to be done after the season. I don't know where TNT is going to go with things, but I'm going to be done. I'm going to peace out." And so that was the plan. He was going to peace out. He's going to be done. But yet he doesn't do that. He stays committed. He was going to retire. He was going to get away, and not really be in the limelight of being in broadcasting anymore. Especially with the new deal that Amazon's making with basketball and the possibility of NBC getting basketball again. So now we're in a circumstance where Charles Barkley is saying, I'm committed to TNT and I'm committed to seeing this through, and I've got a lot more years coming up. Again, this was reported through Yahoo Sports. Really cool article. You can look on there for that. But I am really cool, or not really cool. Didn't make any sense. But I'm really excited to see what in the world's going to happen from Charles Barkley. I think a world without Charles Barkley media is just a bad world. We need his type of energy, his type of humor. Incredible guy. I love getting to listen to him speak. And let's be honest, when him and Kenny the Jet Smith are going at it, and Shaq, especially during March Madness and everything going on, it's a great, great time. So I'm hoping that he will continue his career in excellence through that. Also, another retirement news. Gordon Heyward. Do you remember Gordon Heyward, the guy that almost hit the shot to beat Duke in the 2010 national championship game when he was with Butler? Should have won that game. I was wish they would have won that game, being a Tar Heel fan. But it doesn't matter because we have the ultimate trump card with beating Coach K on his court in the final time and beat him in the final four. So drop the mic on that one. But all jokes aside, Gordon Heyward, he retires. Gordon Heyward had just a rough go about it with injuries, different stuff going on. He went to the Oklahoma City Thunder and basically just called it quits. And it's not because he wasn't trying. The dude put all of his heart and effort into basketball. I know he got married. He has a child, I think, and he's 34. So again, another young guy. You got Charles Barkley, who's older. He's not in sports anymore. He retired from sports, but is still continuing his. Okay, I've got a purpose outside of basketball, but yet I'm going to still, be connected in some way, shape, or form. Gordon Hayward, who knows what God will do through him? Who knows what God will do through, a person like Nick Foles? You just never know what the Lord will do. You never know what the Lord's going to do through us. You know that if you're a Christian, God has a plan for your life. He has everything planned out. And I firmly believe that. Everything is within his grasp of guiding you exactly where he wants you to be. Well, in my story that I'm studying this week again, you got Moses. God has planned everything out in his life to be this person that is a figure for deliverance for the people of Israel. He is to be the son. I mean, in the Egyptian language, Moses means son. And then his name also means in Hebrew, I drew him out of the water. I mean, what better imagery considering that God would take Moses, lead the people of Israel, and rescue them out of the depths of water, but not only that, out of the slavery of the evil one Pharaoh and his tyranny of slavery over them. God uses that in such a miraculous way. But think about it this way. Moses, think around the age of 40, went into Midian and left after he killed one of the Egyptians. He had to flee for his life because he was afraid of Pharaoh killing him. But then he goes back to Egypt. He flees back to Egypt because the people that were seeking after his life have now died. Very similar to how when Joseph and Mary, they had Jesus, the Son of God, they flee to Egypt, but then they come back to Israel. It's this come back. Even though it's coming back to Egypt, he's coming back to his firstborn son, which is Israel. And such cool imagery right there with the gospel. But what's really cool in this whole entire thing is this 40 years later, meeting at the burning bush, God tells an older Moses to go. So today, you may be thinking, I'm 34. I don't know if I have much left in my life. Dude, you have so much, or ma'am, you have so much more to go for your life. You may think, well, I'm 50, I'm 60, I'm 70, I'm 80. Listen, I've known dudes, like we have a guy at our church right now in his 80s. Two men I know. One went on a mission trip with me, and then another one is still doing ministry. He's retired from being a pastor, but he's still doing ministry. Why? Because he knows he has a purpose, and he's not denying the Lord's calling upon his life. Moses tried, but God was like, nope, go. I'm going to use you. And I think that's very important for us to remember. Every single Christian has this calling in our life, is to remember we are considered sons and daughters of the King, a firstborn, because of the firstborn of the dead. Jesus died, rose from the grave. We get to be called the first fruits of salvation. We get to be the first fruits of the resurrection because of what Jesus has done. And now we live with a confidence and boldness and courage. Do we lack it sometimes? Do I lack it sometimes? Heck yeah, I don't always have courage, boldness, but I have to lean upon the Holy Spirit. And he's the one that presses me out where to go and what to do. And so I am just challenging you today as we close the Prize podcast. You're thinking about sports, you're thinking about the underdog, or you're thinking about, the retirement aspect. You never truly retire when it concerns what God calls you to. Thank you for joining in on the Prize podcast. I appreciate you coming in today and talking about how sports and the Christian worldview intersect one another. If you want to get in contact with me, you can go to pursuetheprize@gmail.com, or you can follow me at KMoneyDH on X, formerly known as Twitter. Thank you for joining on the Prize Podcast, where we talk about sports and how the Christian worldview intersect one another. I'm Kyle Hunsinger. We will see you next time for the next episode of the Prize Podcast. I'll see you later.